Hello and welcome once again to another production of Mendocino TV and the Skunk FM. It's Timberwolves football. I'm Lindy Peters at Timberwolves Stadium. The JV game just wrapping up. Clearlake won the JV game 3-0 on a long field goal late in the game. But we're ready now for the Timberwolves and the Clearlake Cardinals. It's a first league game. NCL1 action tonight for both teams. The Clearlake Cardinals are 2-1. The Fort Bragg Timberwolves are 2-1. So we're looking for a good ball game here tonight. You couldn't ask for a better evening here at Timberwolves Stadium. The sun is just setting out over the ocean right now. As you can see, the lights are just taking their hold. The Timberwolves are back over that way, ready to go. Lined up behind their coach, Roy Perkins, ready to run out on the field and get set to take on the Cardinals. We're rebroadcasting this game on the Skunk FM, and you're watching it streaming video on Mendocino.tv.com. I'm Lindy Peters, along with our producer here, Terry Vaughn, and back in our studios, John Rio. Get set. Exciting high school football is next. It's the first league game, and we're going to have a good one here tonight, guaranteed. The Fort Bragg Timberwolves and the Clearlake Cardinals are getting set to go here tonight. High school football under the lights. Friday night football at Timberwolves Stadium. This is the Skunk FM, rebroadcasting the game Saturday morning, and MendocinoTV.com, where you can watch the video streaming anytime, anywhere. As long as you got a device, they can stream video. This is all made possible by some fine sponsors, including Mendo Lake Credit Union, Harvest Market, Dr. Robert Bruce Dentistry, Subway Sandwiches, Cowlick's Ice Cream, Randla Heating and Sheet Metal, Silvers at the Wharf, Mel and Susan McKinney, and Sean Hackley Physical Therapy. We want to thank those sponsors, the boosters, and everybody that make it possible to bring you this broadcast, including Terry Vaughn from Mendocino TV and John Rio from the SkunkFM.com. Now, let's get set to go. The Timberwolves are warming up on the field right now. Under Coach Roy Perkins, they are 2-1. They beat a pretty good team from McKinleyville. They also beat up on LC Allen last week. Their lone loss was to the St. Bernard's Crusaders up at St. Bernard's, an away game, a day game, and it was a close one, but they went down to defeat. Now, both teams are matched pretty well here tonight. The Timberwolves under Coach Roy Perkins are going to run a 3-5 defense, a little different than they've run the last few years. Also, a couple of years ago under head coach Jack Moyer, now retired, they used to run the spread offense. Well, they don't run that spread offense anymore. More of a pro set. They started with the veer option, but they'll line up in that veer option set sometimes, but not all the times. So pretty much of a pro set, looking for that tonight from the Timberwolves. They've got a couple of good running backs. And their defense is really the difference in the season so far. Their defense has been stout. It's really been tough, and teams have been having a hard time putting the ball in the end zone against the Timberwolves. These teams are pretty evenly matched, so get set now as we're going to take a short break and come back. Again, this is the Skunk FM rebroadcasting the Clearlake Cardinals and the Timberwolves Friday night football under the lights and MendocinoTV.com streaming video. I'm Lindy Peters, and high school football action is coming up. Don't go too far away. The Clearlake Cardinals under Coach Glenn Myers are 2-1. Their quarterback, number 12, Ken Henniger, has had a good season so far. He's thrown 5 touchdown passes, although primarily they run the football. They run a veer option offense. Luke Poncelan, who wears number 35, has scored 3 touchdowns and 96 yards in one game last week. The other running back, look for number 14, Andre Buendia, had 103 yards rushing in their last game. They beat South Fork 38-7 last time on the field. The Clearlake Cardinals run, like I said, a veer option offense. And I talked to Coach Myers before the game, and he said these two teams are pretty evenly matched. He says it's great to be under the lights tonight. This is a perfect night for football, and he looks for a good game. He thinks that there are some teams in the league right now that are in an upper echelon. There are others down below that top tier that are kind of wrestling around, and he includes both Fort Bragg and Clearlake in that category. So these teams are hungry, both Clearlake and Fort Bragg, and this should be a good game. We're all set to go now. When we come back, we'll get the coin toss. We'll get ready for some football. I'm Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and for MendocinoTV.com, streaming video anytime you want it, and hope you're enjoying this rebroadcast. We want to thank Hoot for bringing high school sports back to the airwaves. Everybody that knows that we're doing this and finds out about it is excited. It's community radio at its best, and boy, it's sure great to hook up with Mendocino TV and get the video on this as well. So we're all set to go. We'll have the coin toss and get set for the opening kickoff. Clearlake and Fort Bragg from Fort Bragg High School. Under the lights, high school football is coming right up. You're listening to a rebroadcast of Timberwolves football. I'm Lindy Peters for your sports leader in Mendocino County, the Skunk. Stick around for more action coming up.
Hey, great news from Fort Bragg Transmission. Their service has expanded, and now they do most general vehicle repairs. They're ready for radiators to differentials and from wheel bearing maintenance to tune-ups. Call Fort Bragg Transmission on Franklin Street for dependable automotive repairs.
Fort Bragg Transmission, 964-7960.
At North Coast Tire, Rick and Wendy are committed to quality and excellence. From tires and tune-ups to brakes and alignments, go see Rick and Wendy at North Coast Tire at 440 South Main Street or call 964-3184. That's 964-3184.
Save this week at Purity Supermarket. Alden's Vanilla Bean Ice Cream just $4.99 for 48 ounces. Boulder Canyon Olive Oil Kettle Chips, 2 5-ounce bags for $4. Love Crunch Dark Chocolate and Red Berries Organic by Nature's Path, $3.99 for 11.5 ounces. See Purity for more great buys on North Franklin across from the post office.
At AmeriGas Propane, our commitment is to be the safest, most reliable, and most responsive propane company in town. New customer specials are always offered, and we have several payment options to assist in billing your bill. Come see us today at 300 South Main Street, Fort Bragg.
At some point in your life, you're going to need a good attorney. Ryan Perkins, attorney at law, is the only practicing attorney in Fort Bragg that was once a Fort Bragg Timberwolf. He knows the community, he knows the history, and best of all, he knows the law. Whether you're struggling to put together a will, feel you've been wronged by another business or individual, been charged with a crime, or simply have questions on whether or not you have a good legal case, call Ryan Perkins in Fort Bragg, 964-4900. Ryan Perkins, attorney at law, on your team. You're listening to a rebroadcast of Timberwolves football here on The Skunk. I'm your host, Lindy Peters. Now let's head back to the press box and more action on your sports leader from Mendocino County, The Skunk. Getting ready for tonight's game here. The Timberwolves and the Clearlake Cardinals. Lindy Peters rebroadcasting on the Skunk FM Saturday morning and streaming on video, MendocinoTV.com, anytime, anywhere. The Timberwolves huddled around Coach Roy Perkins, getting set to go out there tonight.
Hey, Mike Castile.
And the Clearlake Cardinals across the way getting around Coach Myers, getting fired up. Remember, Fort Bragg has won the toss. They'll receive the football. They'll have the game, the football to start this game tonight. Again, if you're listening on the radio, the Timberwolves will be moving left to right across your radio dial on this first possession. And they're fired up and ready to go, playing in their house here tonight. As I've been saying, this is the first league game, so special importance attached to this one as well. Clearlake JVs won 3-0. Again, the final in that one. A field goal in the fourth quarter was the difference. And that was all the scoring. The Timberwolves hurt themselves late in the game. They had a chance to get the football moved down and perhaps win the game, but some penalties started piling up, and the Timberwolves were moving backwards, and time ran out, and they lost. All right, the opening kickoff, a flag immediately stops the play. Usually that means offsides or not enough men on the field, too many men on the field. What do we got? Offsides against Fort Bragg.
The Timberwolves were offsides on the kickoff.
Cardinals will move it up 5 yards and kick it off again. In high school, you kick off from the 40-yard line, so you'll see he's moving it out now to the 45-yard line if you're watching on video. So the Cardinals now will kick off one more time from the 45.
And number 28.
Deep to receive way back there is Todd Waugh. He is the deep man. Also back with him is Zach Smith. Here's the kick. It's a short kick taken by one of the up men and returned up the left sideline and out of bounds there, the 40-yard line, so the Fort Bragg will have good position on the field here as they get their first possession.
Ty Vaughn takes the kickoff up
Ty
to the
Vaughn was the
40-yard
man who
line.
returned the kickoff up the left sideline, and
First and 10.
Fort Bragg has it 1st and 10. Just getting started here. Quarterback Tyler Ashby back in the huddle now for the Timberwolves. They come up to the line of scrimmage. Clark in the backfield along with Smith. LeBou splits out here to the right. Waugh split out left. Ashby over center. Gives and tackled immediately is Clark that time. No gain. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Kind of ran into each other on the handoff. So actually maybe a loss of a yard. It's going to be 2nd down and 11.
Ball carrier. Loss of a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd
Brandon
and 9
Palmer checks into the game for the Timberwolves. Josh LeBou checks out.
39
Jacob
yard
Richards
line.
is a name we've been calling this year. He's now Jacob Clark. So if it sounds like there's a new player out there, or if it looks like it on video, that's not. That's the same guy, 32, Jacob Clark, and he's split in the backfield right now with Smith behind Waugh. 2 men split out right, and there again looks like some sort of miscommunication as Waugh went to hand the ball off, and there was no one to hand it to. And for the second straight time, it looked like the Timberwolves were a little out of sorts there on that play.
A couple yards
and they managed to lose 3 yards in their first 2 plays that
37-yard line.
did not look very smooth at all. So it'll be 3rd down and 13, the ball back at the 37-yard line. Just underway, first quarter, no score. Broadcasting this game Saturday morning on the Skunk FM and video streaming on MendocinoTV.com. I'm Lindy Peters. Ideal night here weather-wise for football. 2 men split out right. Brandon Palmer comes out here. Outside of him is Todd Waugh. Now Timberwolves 3rd and long. They have to get across to midfield to get a first down. Back to pass is Ashby. His pass is incomplete, and we have a flag that time. It could be pass interference that time. It looked like some contact. I believe Smith was the intended receiver. We'll see what the referee calls, but David Manzel, the cornerback that time, looked like he made contact
Penalty
before
on
the
the
ball
play.
got there, and I would guess it's going to be pass interference, but let's wait and see. It was 3rd and long as that play developed. Now, if the penalty is against the Cardinals, if it is a personal foul, it could possibly be an automatic first down. They're taking the flag up. He's lifting up the penalty, so it's 4th down and long, and the Timberwolves are going to have to punt.
That'll give the Timberwolves 4th and 13 at the 37-yard line.
The Cardinals send Zahuri Manley back to receive. He's got the long dreadlocks. Also back to receive. Can't quite get a number across the way here. Anyway, the Timberwolves again seem to not have enough players on the field. Now a man runs out. They're going to have to get this punt off right away or go back another 5 yards. It's 4th down and 13. The Timberwolves on offense not looking too good on this first series. There's a snap. Arian's punt is away. It's a nice punt. And that's Manley. He's going to take it at the 30, and he is hit immediately by Zach Smith and dropped.
Zach Smith on the tackle for the Timberwolves.
So Manley, the
Cardinals
return
have a
that time,
1st and 10
and
at
Smith
the 30-yard line.
came down and showed form tackling there as he wrapped him up and put him down. So the Cardinals get it for the first time on their own 30-yard line. 1st and 10, Clearlake. Henniger, the quarterback. His running backs, Andre Buendia and Luke Ponzalan. Split behind him. There's a snap, there's a give, there's a good gain. Right side, Ponzalan that time. Picks up close to 7 yards. Just a simple blast play over the right tackle. And the Cardinals will have it 2nd down and 3. Ball out at the 37-yard line. We're just underway, first quarter, no score. The Timberwolves got the ball first on the kickoff, but
Luke
having a little
Punchland,
trouble.
the ball carrier for the Cardinals.
On offense, they just
Brings
weren't
the ball
clicking
up
there.
to the 37-yard line. It'll be
Quarterback
2nd
Tyler
and 2.
Ashby had trouble handing the ball off, and they had to punt, and so here we go. The Cardinals have it. It's 2nd down now and 3. Ball at the 37-yard line. And there's a snap, and getting first down yardage that time right up the middle was Ponzalan once again.
Luke, the ball carrier for the Cardinals, brings the ball up to the 45-yard line.
So Luke Ponzalan
It'll
picks
be
up
1st and 10
first down
for the
yardage
Cardinals.
out to the 45-yard line. For a second, I thought maybe there was a fumble there. I'm a ways away from the field, and I paused on that play thinking there was a fumble on the play, but there wasn't. What there was first down yardage. 1st and 10, Clearlake at the 45-yard line. Ponzalan showing some tough running the first 2 plays. And here he is again, right side. This time he is hit, and that was Clark that hit him first, and then the rest of the Timberwolves finish him off that time as Harrion also was in on the stop. As Ponzalan ran into Clark that time for no gain, 2nd down and 10.
Luke, the ball carrier for the Cardinals.
In the first quarter,
tackle
no
made
score.
by number 58.
9:02 to go.
Eric
They play
Arrow. That'll
12-minute
bring up
quarters
2nd
in
and
high
10
school
for the
football.
Cardinals on the 45
You're listening to the Skunk
line.
FM. I'm Lindy Peters, and you're watching video on MendocinoTV.com. Thanks for joining us. NCL1 play begins tonight here under the lights. 2nd down and 10 now for Clearlake. The ball at the 45-yard line of the Cardinals. There's a give this time, and a short gain, although productive gain into the ball game was Vince
Bragg,
Rave.
ball carrier for the Cardinals,
Rave picked
brings
up
the ball
about
to the
5.
49-yard line.
close to midfield. It's going to be 3rd down and 5 now. On this veer offense, you can give it to that first guy, and the Cardinals have done it by and large this first series, giving it to the first back. You can then either keep it yourself along the line of scrimmage and cut up field, or flip it to the trailing back. And so far the Cardinals have been giving it to that first guy, big number 35, Luke Punzelin. So 3rd and 5 now, ball right at midfield. Back to pass this time, got some time, throw, pass is caught. Manley's got it, and it's a first down at the 40-yard line for the Clearlake Cardinals, as Ken Henniger's pass was right on the money.
Number 84, Mallory, down around the 40-yard line.
Zahuri Manley, senior, 6 foot, 165-pound wide receiver and special teams player, made the catch on the first down. So the Cardinals, with 2 quick first downs, have it across midfield down to the Timberwolves 41-yard line, and they're moving the football. Quarterback Ken Henniger up to the line of scrimmage. Henniger gives to the second back, and that's Rave again, tackled across the far sideline that time for no gain.
Vince Rabb, the ball carrier.
Getting in nicely that time on defense was Josh LeBeau, kind of broke that play up, and Rave didn't really have much didn't have much blocking in front of him once LeBeau came through and sort of broke that play up. So it'll be 2nd down and 10, ball at the 41-yard line. No score, first quarter. Timberwolves and the Clearlake Cardinals here at Timberwolves Stadium under the lights, rebroadcasting this on the Skunk FM and watching the video here on MendocinoTV.com. Reed Monson looks like he has an equipment problem. He's running off holding his helmet there as Tyler Ashby will run in on this play for the Timberwolves on defense. 2nd and long for the Cardinals. Backs are split behind Henniger at quarterback. He's got it. He's going to keep it around the right side, and he's going to pick up about 4 or 5 yards down to about the 36-yard line of Fort Bragg. It's going to be 3rd down and about 5.
Henniger, the ball carrier.
That's the option play where on the veer the quarterback keeps it.
Eric Erdahoe.
We're in the first quarter, no score, 6:41 to go here.
3rd and 5 at the 36-yard line.
If you're enjoying our rebroadcast of this game, and we'll be here all season. Timberwolves 2-1, the Cardinals 2-1, and right now Fort Bragg's defense being tested here as the Cardinals are on the march, but here it is, 3rd down now at the Timberwolves 35-yard line. Henniger back to pass. He's looking out here to his left. Now he's in trouble, rolling, now he's in trouble. 2 men are on him, here's a pass, and it's incomplete. Nice escape by Henniger, the quarterback that time, as Clark was closing in on him quickly.
On the 36-yard line.
Also, Jeff Francis putting some pressure on him, but nice elusive move that time. So it's going to be 4th and 5, but it's in the Timberwolves territory at the 36-yard line, so looks like the Cardinals are probably going to go for it here. As Henniger brings him up, you have to watch out now that they don't try and draw him off sides here. Looks like they're going to run a play. Henniger back to pass. Dropping back, setting up a draw. There's a middle screen, and it's dropped. Pass was intended for David Manziel that time, and to his defense, it was thrown just a little bit behind him, and that's going to set up a Timberwolves first down as their defense holds.
Timberwolves will be 1st and 10 at the 36-yard line.
Set up like a screen pass or a draw. You could tell the linemen for the Timberwolves were allowed in by the blocking scheme of the Cardinals that time, and they set up that middle screen, and boy, that play was open. Probably would have got a first down if he caught that. But instead, it's incomplete. Timberwolves have it 1st and 10. Their 2nd series now. See if they can be a little more crisp this time. They'll start off on their own 36-yard line. First quarter action, no score. Ashby at quarterback. Gives it to the second man, Smith. He breaks one tackle, he breaks another, comes outside, gets outside to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 30, to the 20, to the 10. Touchdown, Timberwolves. No penalty flags. Zach Smith broke 2 tackles near the line of scrimmage, and then it was off to the races. An electrifying run covering 74 yards. Well, let me check that. I'm sorry. No, make that 64 yards. A 64-yard touchdown run by Zach Smith, and that gives the Timberwolves a 6-0 lead. 5:53 to go, first quarter. That got the crowd off their feet, too. I should say got them on their feet. Here's the extra point attempt. It's up, and it's good. as Padilla puts it right through.
Number 21, Carlos Portillo with the extra point for the Timberwolves.
So it's 7-0. Fort Bragg over the Clearlake Cardinals. 5:53 to go here in this first quarter. I'm Lindy Peters. You're watching this on MendocinoTV.com and enjoying it rebroadcast on the Skunk FM. Boy, that was a great run.
Yeah, I'd like to remind you folks, the freshman
as,
class
Zach
got a
Smith
50-50
really
raffle
turned
going
on the
help support the freshman
afterburners
class
once he
by
hit
getting
about
50-50
midfield.
raffle.
He had the angle, and it looked like one kid had a chance to maybe cut him off and get him out of bounds, but Smith just turned on the speed and right up the sideline all the way for a touchdown. I want to mention some of the former Timberwolves are playing at Mendocino College. If you're listening to the rebroadcast on the Skunk FM, it's today. It's this afternoon at Mendocino College in Ukiah. If you're listening in Ukiah, you might want to check out the ball game. Nate Mitchell and also, let's think who else is playing. Well, somebody walked up and told me before the ball game. Jack Moyer's son is a quarterback who, of course, led the Timberwolves here to the section championship a few years back. He's quarterbacking at Cabrillo.
Everybody, let's stand
Anyway,
up for kickoff.
that'll be this afternoon on the rebroadcast if you're listening on the radio. Here's the kickoff now as Padilla kicks a nice line drive kick back all the way into the end zone, where the Cardinals will let it die for a touchback. So they'll have it 1st and 10 at their own 20. Now the Timberwolves defense, see if they can come alive after that quick score. Boy, the first time the Timberwolves had the ball, they moved it backwards and really did not, they just looked out of sync. Second time, one play, touchdown Timberwolves. There's a fine howdy-do for the Cardinals. 7-0. Fort Bragg leads as Clearlake now will come out of the huddle. Ken Henninger, good quarterback, looks like he's can throw the ball pretty well. Now his backs are split behind him in this veer-off offense. One man split left, one man split right. Man comes in motion. This is Manley in motion. And there's a give to the first guy, and he is not going to get much. I think that's, once again, Punzalan, ball carrier. Or hang on just a second, that was Ronan
Number
O'Rourke.
14, the ball carrier.
Or make that Andre Buendia. Buendia, the ball carrier that time. He had a good game last time they were on the field. The Cardinals played South Fork, and Buendia rushed for 103 yards. Picked up about 3 that time. It'll be 2nd down and 7. The ball at the 23-yard line. 7-0. Fort Bragg leading. First quarter action here. Under the lights at Timberwolves Stadium with 5:17 to go. Henninger over center, gives to the second back. He's got some room around the right side as he gets to the outside, but Francis cuts him off there before he gets to the
Number 32,
first down.
Vince Rabb, the ball carrier.
Brave
Tackle
picking
made
up
by number 54,
about
Jeff
5.
Francis.
Actually, no, he didn't get more than about 3 that time, where they spot the ball after the tackle. So it's going to be 3rd down about 4. The Cardinals need to get to the 30-yard line. They have it at about their own 26, trailing 7-0.
It'll be 3rd and 4 for the Cardinals.
Fort Bragg running that
on the
3-5
26-yard
defense. Coach Perkins brought that from program over there in the Central Valley where he was coaching. All right, 3rd down and about 4 now for the Cardinals. Henninger back to pass. He looks, he throws. Oh, in the seam pattern, incomplete that time. Had a man open. The Cardinals wanted a pass interference as Wall that time sort of hit David Manzel as that ball was over his head, but the contact was after the ball was over his head, and the pass was probably
pass is incomplete. That's
not going to be caught anyway.
4 for the
Oftentimes they will not
the
call a penalty if a
26
pass is
yard
deemed
line.
uncatchable. If it's kind of a questionable pass interference call, which that certainly would have been. So no call, no flag. The 4th down now for the Cardinals. They'll have to punt. Smith is back to punt, or to receive the punt along with Waugh for the Timberwolves. The snap is over his head. Back to get it is De Kaiser, and it's blocked. And it's picked up by the Timberwolves. And is that a touchdown? No, it's 1st down. Timberwolves at about the 2-yard line. Here I was looking down to see who the punter was for the Cardinals, Jacob De Kaiser. Meanwhile, Dondeville blocks the punt, and the Timberwolves recover it also at the 2-yard line. So it's 1st and goal for the Timberwolves, and a golden opportunity to really go up early in this one. 4:08 to go first quarter. They already lead 7-0. They scored last time they had the ball, and their special teams came through that time, but actually that snap for DeKaiser to get that punt away would have taken a much better snap, and once it was over his head, it was a good opportunity for the Timberwolves. So here they come. Ashby's going to keep it. He looks like he's got it in. It's touchdown Timberwolves as Ashby goes right up the middle, and the Timberwolves make it 13-0 with 4:05 to go here in the first quarter. Taking advantage of that turnover.
Number 2, Tyler Ashby with a 2-yard TD run for the
Don't really,
Timberwolves.
I guess, call a punt block a turnover, more or less. The ball's gonna go to your team one way or another, either via a punt return, a fair catch, or a downed punt or whatnot. But when you block a punt and then recover it at your opponent's 1-yard line, that is a great special teams play. The extra point by Padilla is up, but it's no good. It's wide left. So with 4:05 to go here in the first quarter, it is Fort Bragg 13, Clearlake 0. I'm Lindy Peters. You're listening to a rebroadcast of this game on the skunkfm.com.
That makes the score of the Timberwolves 13.
I should say you're listening to this game on the Skunk FM and watching it on MendocinoTV.com. We'll take a little time out. The kickoff coming right up. Fort Bragg up early in this one. We're all set to go now as the Timberwolves leading 13-0. Get ready to kick off following their second touchdown. Padilla's kick, a low line drive, bounces and goes into the end zone. And for the second straight time, the Cardinals have a touchback. Boy, Padilla has been a weapon here kicking the ball off so far tonight for the Timberwolves. There's been no returns for the Cardinals. They'll take over 1st and 10 on their own 20, trailing 13-0.
Cardinals will have 1st and 10 on the 20-yard line.
The Fort Bragg Timberwolves defense has been on the field most of the time. Both scores happen rather quickly by the offense. In fact, on one play, the last two series, one was a 1-yard plunge, one was a 64-yard dash from Zach Smith. So 13-0 as the Cardinals line it up. They've got the ball. Henniger has it, rolling to his right on the veer option, slips his knee, hits the ground, and he'll be down just across the 20 to the 22.
Kenny Henninger, the ball carrier for the Cardinals.
That'll see again on the far side. Actually, I think he lost a yard, so it's going to be 2nd down and 11. 3:47 to go here, first quarter.
Loss of 1 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 11 on the 19 for the Cardinals.
The Timberwolves, who play well at home, I think in high school sports, home field advantage oftentimes isn't that big of a deal, but here at Timberwolves Stadium, sometimes the crowd can really get you into it too. And anyway, here we go. The Cardinals with the ball, and they're not going to get much on this play either, as the ball carrier is driven out of bounds that time. Francis made the biggest hit
Number
that time.
35, Luke Gonzalez, the ball carrier.
Gonzalez was the ball carrier that time, and he, I think, lost another couple yards, putting up 3rd down and 14 now.
Tackle made by
So
number
the Cardinals
56.
probably have to put the ball in the
Neil
air here.
Dondemel.
Medlin, Smith, Palmer, and Waugh, the DBs and the safeties are, you can see them at the first down marker at about
It'll
the
be
30-yard
3rd
line
and
for
14
Clear
for the
Lake.
Cardinals
They've got the ball at their own
on
16-yard
the
line.
17-yard line.
So here we go, 3rd down now as Henniger over center sends a man in motion. This is Manley in motion. He's back to pass. He looks for Manley, and it's incomplete. Just out of his reach, just over his hands.
Kenny Henninger's
and
pass is
incomplete.
incomplete.
So it's going to be 4th down and
Pass is
14. The
intended for
Cardinals are going to
number
have to punt it
84.
away again. Smith and Waugh will go back for the Timberwolves.
Missouri Manley.
We're still in the first quarter. Fort Bragg leading 13-0, 2:36 to go. Remember the last time the Timberwolves were on the field here, they had
Back
last
to
week
receive the
off.
punt for the Timberwolves,
They just
number 3,
clobbered
Todd
Elsie
Waugh,
Allen.
and number 28, Zach Smith.
And not saying that's going to happen tonight, but at this point, the Timberwolves have it all purple. There's the punt, and it takes a bounce up towards midfield, but short and goes out of bounds. Fort Bragg will have it across midfield at the Clearlake
Ball bounces out of
47-yard line,
bounds at
1st
the
and 10.
47-yard line, where the Timberwolves will take over 1st and 10.
We want to once again thank Terry Vaughn from MendocinoTV.com for putting the video up so you can stream on any video device wherever you might be at any time. And we want to thank John Rio back at the Skunk FM for putting together our rebroadcast. Certainly our pleasure to do it. I'm Lindy Peters, and here we go. The Timberwolves come up 1st and 10, leading in this one 13-0. First quarter action at the Clearlake Cardinals 47-yard line. Ashby gives to Clark. Clark breaks 2 tackles and then bucks his way across the 40, down inside the 40 to the
Jacob Clark, the ball carrier,
37-yard line of
brings the
Clearlake.
ball across the 40-yard line.
Close to a first down. I think it's going to be short.
37-yard line.
Clark with long legs, and he hits that hole pretty quickly, and with his size, he's not an easy guy to bring down. He's not close to the ground. Even if he runs over you, he's going to get about 3 yards with his size. He gives to him again follows blockers around the left side and gets close to the first down. I think he got first down yardage.
Number 32, Jacob Clark, the
about
ball
a yard
carrier.
to go. And depending on where they mark this football, I think the Timberwolves have a first down. Looking across the field there. And they might be bringing out the chain gang. I'm not sure. It looks like that's what they're going to do.
Looks like the chain gang's going to earn their hamburger.
So it's a measurement
Come out
here.
and measure. We'd like to thank the chain gang for tonight's
if you're just
game.
tuning in,
Scott
this is a
Orr,
rebroadcast of
Wally
the Fort Bragg
Goody,
Timberwolves and the
Jesus
Clearlake Cardinals game
Ibarra.
at Timberwolves Stadium Friday night, September 21st. And if you're watching the video on MendocinoTV.com, 1:41 to go, first quarter, 13-0, Fort Bragg leading. This is the first NCL1 league game for either team, and it is a first down for the Timberwolves.
Man in the white hat says it's a Timberwolves first down.
Gives the first down signal, and Ashby comes back from consulting Coach Roy Perkins on the sideline during that measurement and brings a play out to the huddle. Wall will split out here to the right. Palmer splits out left. Smith, the tailback. Clark, the up back. Ashby at quarterback. 1st and 10, Timberwolves. Ashby gives to Smith, and he fumbles, and it's picked up by Clearlake. And again, a bad handoff. That's the third time tonight that the Timberwolves have had trouble on the handoff. Rashawn Orozco recovers the ball for the Cardinals.
1st and 10 at the 41-yard line.
Turnover might spark Clearlake here. They'll get it in pretty good field position at their own 41-yard line. First quarter, minute 31 to go. We've had a lot of action already in the first 11 minutes of this game. All right, the Cardinals come up to the line of scrimmage. Zahuri Manley splits out to the right. Man splits out left, backs are split behind Henniger. There's the give to Buendia. Buendia is dropped for a loss, and I'm telling you, the Timberwolves defense is fired up tonight. Andre Buendia is a 5'7", 160-pound senior.
Number 14, Andre Buendia, the ball carrier. Tackle made by number 1, Josh LeBoux. Loss of a couple on the play.
Fort Bragg,
2nd and 12.
Again, I don't have a stat man, but
on the 39-yard line.
The Cardinals rushing, the first time they had the ball, they got a couple of rushing first downs, but after that, they've been held in check very well. In fact, the last 2 series are pretty much negative yardage. All right, Henniger at quarterback, 2nd down and 12 now for the Cardinals. Timberwolves almost jump, and then they do. I guess the penalty will fly, and that'll make it just a little bit easier for the Cardinals here. Ball spotted at the 39-yard line. That'll bring it up to about the 44 now. And it'll be 2nd down and 7. Down to 46 seconds to go, first quarter. Fort Bragg leading 13-0. Lindy Peters on the rebroadcast here on the Skunk FM.
For offside.
Video streaming here on MendocinoTV.com.
We'll call it 2nd and 6 at the 44-yard line.
So the Cardinals come up that same set as they had for the last play. With Manley split way out there to the right, backs are split behind Henniger. And he gives to the first guy through, and he's got some good yardage. That's Buendia, and Buendia is up across midfield down to the Timberwolves' 41-yard line. Just a quick hit
Number
that time.
14, Andre Buendia, the ball carrier.
And
brings the ball
good
up
yardage
to the
that time.
42-yard line. It'll be
Cardinals.
1st and 10 for the Cardinals.
Should be the last play, I think, of the first quarter. They're telling the scorekeeper to run the clock. 16, 15, 14 seconds left. The Cardinals don't have to get a play off here. It's just the end of the quarter, so they simply switch positions on the field. But it looks like they might get a playoff. Now Henniger looks over to the sideline, and I think they're just going to let the clock go down. So that'll be the end of the first quarter. Fort Bragg off to a quick start here. The score at the end of the first quarter, it's Fort Bragg 13, Clearlake nothing. I'm Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and for MendocinoTV.com. Stick around. The second quarter coming up. We'll take a short timeout and return with more action in just a moment. You're listening to a rebroadcast of Timberwolves football. I'm Lindy Peters for your sports leader in Mendocino County, the Skunk. Stick around for more action coming up.
Hey, great news from Fort Bragg Transmission. Their service has expanded, and now they do most general vehicle repairs. They're ready for radiators to differentials, and from wheel bearing maintenance to tune-ups. Call Fort Bragg Transmission on Franklin Street for dependable automotive repairs.
Fort Bragg Transmission, 964-7960.
At North Coast Tire, Rick and Wendy are committed to quality and excellence. From tires and tune-ups to brakes and alignments, go see Rick and Wendy at North Coast Tire at 440 South Main Street or call 964-3184. That's 964-3184.
Save this week at Purity Supermarket. Alden's Vanilla Bean Ice Cream just $4.99 for 48 ounces. Boulder Canyon Olive Oil Kettle Chips, 2 5-ounce bags for $4. Love Crunch Dark Chocolate and Red Berries Organic by Nature's Path, $3.99 for 11.5 ounces. See Purity for more great buys on North Franklin across from the post office.
At AmeriGas Propane, our commitment is to be the safest, most reliable, and most responsive propane company in town. New customer specials are always offered, and we have several payment options to assist in billing your bill. Come see us today at 300 South Main Street, Fort Bragg.
At some point in your life, you're going to need a good attorney. Ryan Perkins, attorney at law, is the only practicing attorney in Fort Bragg that was once a Fort Bragg Timberwolf. He knows the community, he knows the history, and best of all, he knows the law. Whether you're struggling to put together a will, feel you've been wronged by another business or individual, been charged with a crime, or simply have questions on whether or not you have a good legal case, call Ryan Perkins in Fort Bragg, 964-4900. Ryan Perkins, attorney at law, on your team. You're listening to a rebroadcast of Timberwolves football here on the Skunk. I'm your host, Lindy Peters. Now let's head back to the press box and more action on your sports leader from Mendocino County, the Skunk. The second quarter about to start now as the Fort Bragg Timberwolves lead the Clearlake Cardinals 13-0 at the end of the first 12 minutes. Now we'll switch directions here. The Clearlake Cardinals will be moving left to right across your radio dial, left to right across your video screen as Henniger, the quarterback, with a 1st and 10, the ball at the Timberwolves 41. And he has a keeper this time right up over the middle, and he is popped, but he gets a good gain that time. Zach Smith gave him a good bump.
Number 12, Kenny
but not before he picked up some good yardage that time.
Tackle made by number 28, Zach Smith.
Went right over the middle that time. That's a play that the Timberwolves used up at St. Bernard's for some success.
And the man in white
hat
says,
first down
yes,
for the Cardinals. 1st and 10 at the Timberwolves 31-yard line. Just underway here, second quarter. 11:51 to go.
There's also another raffle going on tonight, folks. There's a firewood raffle. Tickets are $5 each, or
ball
$5
down at the Timberwolves 31-yard line.
A
Cardinals
cord of fur delivered and
got
stacked.
a fumble, and after the turnover, moving the ball pretty good with their veer offense. Henniger over center. Gives to the first guy, and that's Buendia, and Buendia didn't get much that time. Picked up maybe a yard to about the 30-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 9.
Andre Buendia, the ball carrier for the Cardinals.
13-0, Fort Bragg leading.
30-yard line. They're going to mark
Zach
it
Smith
29.
ran a long touchdown in from about
we'll call it 2nd and 8.
64 yards out for the initial score, and then Tyler Ashby just ran one in after they had blocked the punt and recovered it at the Clearlake 1-yard line. Ashby ran it in on a quarterback sneak, or keeper actually, and that's where we stand. The extra point the second time was wide left, so it's 13-0. Cardinals now, 2nd down and 8, the ball at the Timberwolves 30-yard line. Henniger gives to the second back, and he is stacked up after a short gain that time. That's Vince Rave. And he didn't get much. It's going to be 3rd down and long.
Vince Rave, the ball carrier. Tackle made by number 58, Eric Erlahome.
3rd down and 7 now. 10:38 to go in the half. Fort Bragg with their defense out on the field now, hoping for another stop. This is probably 4-down territory for Clearlake right now.
It'll be 3rd and 7 for the Cardinals on the 27-yard line.
So up to the line of scrimmage come the Cardinals behind Henniger now, 3rd down and about 7. Sends a man in motion. And I think that might be too much time. It seemed like an awfully long time between plays there. And that is the call. It's delay a game. It's 5 yards back, so it's going to be 3rd down and about 16 now.
That'll put the ball back at the 33-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 13 for the Cardinals.
All right, 3rd down and 13 for Clearlake. Back to pass and in trouble and dropped.
Number 1, Josh LeBeau on the sack.
LeBeau got in there on Henniger that time and dropped him for a loss, bringing 4th down now, back out at about the 40-yard line, out to the 39-yard line. 4th down and long.
They're going to mark it at the 38-yard line.
So.
Or it's going to be 4th and, well, we'll call it 4th and
9:43 to go here in the half. Fort Bragg leading 13-0. And on this 4th down play, the Cardinals look as though they're going to go for it. No, they got a man in punt formation, so they're going to punt it away. Smith drops back for the Timberwolves. Wall also drops back there. That's De Kaiser once again in punt formation. Last time he had a little trouble with the snap. This time he gets the kick away and kicks it straight out of bounds. And the Timberwolves will have it at about the 22-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 Fort Bragg, the ball at their own 22. Leading 13-0. We're in the 2nd quarter with 9:17 to go.
Don't worry, I got tape.
So are you hungry? Do you need food?
So the Timberwolves now, as they try and mark this ball here properly, the officials across the way will take over. They're going to have it 1st and 10 in their own territory with a chance now for a sustained drive. The last 2 times the offense has had the ball, they've scored on the first play.
Timberwolves will take over 1st.
It's not a bad
10.
trend to try and continue here.
That's the 25-yard
13-0 the score, 9:17 to go here in the half. Waugh splits out here to the left. Palmer splits out right. Smith and Clark behind Ashby. There's a give to Clark. He breaks the first tackle, breaks 2 more tackles, bulls his way across the 45 up to 50-yard line. 1st down, Timberwolves.
Number 32, Jacob
Clark,
the ball carrier. Tackle made by number 3, Jacob De Kaiser.
It's fun to watch.
At about the 49-yard line.
Wears that same number as Larry Zonka, for those that go back that far, and runs a lot like him. Just straight ahead and see if you can tackle me. And most of the time those guys are looking at the 32 on the back of his jersey. 1st and 10 Timberwolves at midfield now. Clark gets a handoff again, and this time he's dropped right at the line of scrimmage. Cardinal defense that time. Josh Larson
number
made
32,
the stop.
Jacob Clark, the ball carrier.
So it's going to be
tackle made
about a 3-yard gain.
72, Josh Larson.
2nd down and about 7 now for Fort Bragg. Ball across midfield to the
Clearlake
48-yard line.
2nd and 8 at the 48-yard line.
Palmer splits out to the right for the Timberwolves. Wall splits out left, and Reed Monson tight end here on the left side now is Clark, that is, and Smith behind Ashby. Ashby with the ball tries to pitch it to Smith. Somehow Smith makes the catch on that pitch. That was a dangerous play by Ashby. That was a lateral, so it would have been a fumble if he dropped it. That was a live ball. But Smith caught it around his ankles that time. Didn't get much of a gain. In fact, I think he lost yardage. So it's going to be 3rd down now and long, about 3rd and 10 for the Timberwolves. The ball just across midfield.
Puts the ball back to the 49-yard
line.
Where it'll be 3rd and
7:51 to go here. We're rebroadcasting this game on the Skunk FM Saturday morning. I'm Lindy Peters. Thanks for joining us. And video on MendocinoTV.com. You can stream the video anytime, anywhere on a device that streams video. So it's 3rd down and about 10 now for the Timberwolves. Ashby with his backs in the I formation, and I don't know what happened there. But at times the Fort Bragg offense has really not been firing on all cylinders. They're going to go 5 yards back this time again.
Penalties against the Timberwolves for a false start. That'll put the ball back to the 46-yard line.
Seemed as though the center snapped it a little bit too early, and now there's a timeout by the Timberwolves. The coach Roy Perkins wants to go out and talk things over. So we'll take a timeout.
26 seconds to go to halftime, folks.
The Fort Bragg Timberwolves lead this game 13-0 against the Clearlake Cardinals. We're in the 2nd quarter. There's 7:26 to go here. And right now, during this timeout, we'll take a little break and come back with action here in just a moment.
I'm on tape right now.
Okay, we going?
Timberwolves merchandise. Help support
Okay.
Just set it down.
I understand. We're rolling.
After the timeout, the Timberwolves have it 3rd down and about 15. The ball back in their own territory now as Ashby takes a snap. He's rolling to his right. He's got some time, a little short pass to Clark. Clark makes the catch, but he's not even getting back to the original line of scrimmage this time, so it's going to be 4th down and
pass is complete to
about
number
11.
Jacob Clark at about the 48-yard line.
Palmer was going up the sideline that time. I think Ashby was looking a little further upfield, but nothing was there, so he had to just pass it to the outlet pass there, and that was Clark, and there really wasn't much yardage for Clark once he caught that pass. So 4th down and 12 now, and back in punt formation for the Cardinals. Manley is back there. I think that might be Manzel with him, Manley and Manzel, as Perrion will punt for the Timberwolves. It's a low snap, but he gets the kick away. It's a low line drive, and it's taken by Manley up the left sideline. Gets a good block, but a penalty flag flies, and he is dropped at about the 34-yard line. And Ty Vaughn that time just got clipped for lack of a, now they call it blocking in the back, but that was a prototypical clip there that he took as he gets up a little slow. Number 88 getting back to the rest of the Timberwolves there, but 3 officials saw it. The flags were flying on that one. All 3 flags still on the field as the officials won't have any trouble telling you what this is. And again, blocking in the back will be the call. Well, actually, I guess they call it, yeah, blocking in the back, but
penalties against the Cardinals for a legal block in the back.
No matter what you want to call it, the Timberwolves are going to enjoy this penalty because the ball would have been out at about the 30-yard line, but instead the Cardinals will take over 1st and 10 back at their own 17-yard line. So 15 yards back, and
hopefully you'll win.
If the Timberwolves defense can hold here with 6:31 to go in this first half, leading 13-0, the Timberwolves should have some decent field position. Cardinals bring it up to the line of scrimmage. They got other ideas.
At the 17-yard
Manley
line.
splits out here to the right. Manzel splits out to the left. Backs in the I formation behind Henniger. Now he's calling Manley in motion back towards him. He continues in motion as Henniger takes the snap, and here's a run, cut back. Nice play as he gets almost to the open field till Reed Monson makes the stop, and that was Buendia that time. Buendia, that play was designed to go left, I think. They put a man in motion, and tight end was strong on that side, but instead he cut it back, and boy, I held my breath for a second. It looked like if he got by one guy, he might have a big gain, but instead about a 4-yard gain. And nice play as Reed Monson, the defensive containment on the left side here at left end, stayed home and made a nice play. So it'll be 2nd down and 6 for the Cardinals. Back split behind him now. As Henniger takes the snap, gives it to Punzalan, the first guy, and he picks up some good yardage up close to, and I believe he got the 1st down.
Number 35, Luke Punzalan, the ball carrier, brings the ball up close to the 30-yard line. They're going to mark it at the 29-yard line.
I believe it was Dondeville who made the tackle.
1st and 10 for the
But the Cardinals get a 1st down that time. So it's 1st and 10 Clear Lake. Luke Punzalan has done some pretty tough running. He's the leading ground gainer so far for the Cardinals, number 35. He's back there in the backfield. Along with him is Andre Buendia, wearing number 14. 2 men split out left now for Henniger. He's rolling to his left on the veer option. He's going to keep it and breaks one tackle, slips by another, and then is dropped close.
Number 12, Kenny Henninger, the ball carrier,
to the 35-yard line.
Number 1, Josh LeBoux.
I think he got to about the 35. It'll be 2nd down and 5. 13-0, Fort Bragg leads. 5:02 to go here in this first half. If you're just joining us, you're listening to the rebroadcast of this game on the Skunk FM. And if you're watching video, this is MendocinoTV.com. I'm Lindy Peters. And glad you've joined us here for high school football action. The Timberwolves leading 13-0 now. All right, 2nd down and 5 for the Cardinals. The ball at their own 35-yard line. Henniger comes this way on the option. The ball's knocked loose by Clark. It's on the ground, but I think the Cardinals have it as LeBoux was there.
Ball's recovered by number 32.
But
Brad for the Cardinals.
That ball recovered by the
Back
Cardinals
at
that
the
time.
28-yard
Clark
line.
knocked it away as
It's gonna be
Henniger,
3rd
the
and
quarterback
11
on that
for
veer
Cardinals.
option, started rolling to his right here, holding that ball out. And that's the danger sometimes of that veer option. You have to flip it at one point, and that means putting the ball in one hand. And about the time he did that, it was knocked clean, but the Cardinals recovered, setting up 3rd and 11 now. Ball back at the 28-yard line, let's call it. 3rd down and 11. Back to pass. Setting up a screen. There it is this time. Over the middle it comes, and he's got good blocking, but he is stopped short of the first down. Nice play that time. David Manziel on the middle screen. A flag comes in late, and that's usually a personal foul of some sort.
Number 12, Kenny Henninger's pass was complete to number 10,
Boy,
David Mansell.
I like the way they set up that play. Henniger, the quarterback, just sprinting back, and the blocking scheme sets up, and there's a personal foul. I think a late hit is a call against the Timberwolves.
Penalties
and that's
against
going to
the
give the
Timberwolves
Cardinals
for
a
a
first
personal
down.
foul.
And with
That'll move the
3:46
ball
to go
to
here in
the-
the half, that's going to bring the ball all the way up across midfield to the Timberwolves 49-yard line, or just across midfield is where
That'll
they're going
move
to
the ball
spot
to
it.
the 49-yard line.
So that's a big
1st and 10
penalty.
for the Cardinals.
The Timberwolves had actually stopped that play and were setting up a 3rd and long, but instead, after the penalty, the penalty was marched off from the spot of the infraction. So, 1st and 10, Clearlake in Fort Bragg territory, just across midfield. Henniger, short drop, looking for a man to his right, overthrows it, it's picked off by Todd Wall. He slows down and waits for some blockers and then cuts back across midfield and down to about the 42-yard line. 1st and 10 Timberwolves. Nice play by Todd Wall that time. He tipped the ball,
Number 3, Todd
intercepted it. It looked like he was going to go up the left
Brings
sideline,
the ball up to the
but he
43
waited for some
yard line,
blockers
the Timberwolves
and
will have 1st
took
and
it
10.
to the center of the field. And the Timberwolves come up with a big turnover there. Waugh's been very good defensively in the backfield for the Fort Bragg Timberwolves this year, and that was another fine example. A good interception that time. Fort Bragg will have it 1st and 10 on the Clearlake 42-yard line, leading 13-0 here. 3:15 to go in this first half. Waugh splits way out here left now. A man, Clark, slotted inside. Palmer split way out to the right. There's a fake pitch by Ashby, and now he runs up the middle, and he's got some room. He gets across the 20, down to the 15, and fumbles as he's tackled. But I think Fort Bragg has it inside the 10-yard line. They're saying that he was down, I believe, and the ground caused the fumble. Well, let's see. Right now they're untangling the players. You don't have instant replay at this level. Ashby, a nice play that time. He dropped back for a second. It was a quarterback draw. He broke free of containment and was in the open field there and was tackled from behind by Manley. And I'm not sure, it looks as though even if it was a fumble, Fort Bragg had recovered, but I believe the ground caused that fumble. I believe Ashby fumbled when he hit the ground. Either way, Fort Bragg has it 1st and goal at Clearlake's 8-yard line. Palmer splitting out right, Waugh splits out left, Clark and Smith in the I formation behind Ashby. Ashby gives to Clark. Clark with some tough yardage, his lineman pushing him forward. And it just looks like a rugby game for a moment there as Clark stopped probably at about the 6-yard line, maybe a 2-yard gain. 2nd and goal. 13-0 Fort Bragg, 2:32 to go here in the first half. I'm Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. Hope you're enjoying this rebroadcast of the game on the radio, and you can watch the video anytime, anywhere on a video device. 2nd down and goal. Timberwolves have it at the 6-yard line of the Clearlake Cardinals. Palmer splits out right, Waugh splits out to the left. Smith and Clark in the backfield. The give is to Smith. He follows Clark around the left side. He's inside the 5, down to about the 3-yard line. Still on his feet, but his initial progress is stopped at about the 3, so it's going to set up 3rd and goal at about the Clearlake 3rd-yard line. And of course the clock keeps going down under 2 minutes now, a minute 51, a minute 50, a minute 49 to go here in this first half. Don DeVille checking into the huddle along with Ashby. Smith checks out. I'm not a betting man, but if I had to give the ball to somebody at this point, it would be Jacob Clark. Don DeVille in the backfield along with him now, and timeout is called by the Timberwolves. They probably thought they weren't going to get the playoff. Don DeVille, of course, a lineman, taking a page out of Bill Walsh's book when he was one of the first coaches to take a guy like Guy McIntyre and put him in the backfield on a goal line situation. As the up blocking back. So the Cardinals have called a timeout, not the Timberwolves. With the score 13-0 and about a minute 27 to go here, we'll just keep it right here at this point. You're enjoying this game on the Skunk FM rebroadcast on Saturday morning. I'm Lindy Peters. We'll have Giants baseball coming up tonight here on the Skunk FM. And they have an evening start, 5:35 for the pregame with Cook and Kipe and 6:05 for the first pitch. If you're watching video here on MendocinoTV.com, thanks for joining us wherever you might be. You might be a relative of one of the players, you might be a coach scouting one of these teams, or you just might be kicking back on your computer or your handheld device, enjoying high school football wherever you might be. When we come back to action, it's 3rd and goal for the Timberwolves at the Cardinal 3-yard line. They're leading 13-0. Same formation, same personnel in the lineup with Dondeville in the backfield along with Jacob Clark. Ashby gives to Clark, whistle blows. Clark, and that usually indicates a procedure call, and that's going to change, of course, everything now. It's going to be 3rd down and about 8. And might look for the Timberwolves to put the ball in the air here. It's offsides against Fort Bragg. Well, that's an unusual call. That
penalties against the Timberwolves.
Usually, especially when you get down inside the red zone, you really want to make sure those kind of mistakes don't happen.
The ball back at the
so the different personnel package in for the Timberwolves now as Zach Smith comes back in and Dondeville checks out. 3rd down and goal at about the 8-yard line on the near hash mark here. And boy, what do we got now? Whistle's going to stop it again. This last 3 minutes has taken forever. The Timberwolves will take a timeout. You know what? We're going to take a timeout too. Fort Bragg 13, Clearlake nothing. Minute 25 to go. First half. We'll be back here with this 3rd down play after this.
8 down to the Timberwolves cap.
All right, so here we go. 3rd and goal for the Timberwolves. The ball at the Clearlake 7-yard line. Wall split out here left. Palmer split out in the slot. There's a pitch to Smith. Might be an option pass. He's in trouble. He's rolling. He jumps. He throws. It's incomplete. And penalty flags are down all over the field here. Probably ineligible man downfield. Well, I don't know. He only got a 7-yard cushion there to the end zone, but they're definitely, I believe, going to call this against Fort Bragg for something. And that's it. Ineligible man downfield. So the Cardinals, I believe, could refuse the penalty, setting up 4th and goal. Either way, there's going to be a minute 18 to go in this half. 13-0 the score. It was pretty much penalty free until just the last few minutes here, which seemed to be taking forever. So they'll mark off the penalty. The Cardinals, no, they won't. They're going to take the down. It's going to be 4th and goal now for Fort Bragg. So
penalties against the Timberwolves
from about this spot on the field,
decline. That'll give the Timberwolves 4th
against the St. Bernard's Crusaders a few weeks back. The Timberwolves
7-yard line
ran a pass play to Todd Waugh. And let's see what we got going here. I think they're going to try a field goal. They bring Padilla out. They're going to try a field goal here. 4th down. The ball's going to be spotted at the 13. Call it a 23-yard field goal. There's a snap. There's a spot. Plenty of leg. It's up. It's good. Padilla just drilled that thing through. And it's now Fort Bragg 16, Clearlake nothing. A minute 15 to go here in the half. Well, one of the things that the Timberwolves have this year that other high school teams might not have is a strong leg. Carlos Padilla that time kicked it with room to spare. So it's 16-0 now. And the Timberwolves will be kicking off here. We'll keep it right here for the remainder of this first half. If you're enjoying this on the radio, it's a rebroadcast of the Friday night Under the Light Timberwolves Stadium game, the Clearlake Cardinals and the Fort Bragg Timberwolves. NCL 1 league action here. Fort Bragg scored a touchdown when Zach Smith ran 64 yards in the first quarter on a great run around the right side. And then, after a blocked punt, Tyler Ashby ran it in from a yard out to make it 13-0. Then Padilla has just kicked a 24-yard field goal, and Fort Bragg leads it 16-0. So Fort Bragg will kick off now. Cardinals send
That makes the score of the Timberwolves 16 and the Cardinals
Andre
0.
Buendia back. Different set of returners back there. I think Vince Rave is back there with him, I think. Can't quite see his number, but anyway, the Timberwolves, Eric Harrion will kick off. There's the kick, and it's a ground ball kick, and it's fielded by Rave. He is that other man. He's trying the right sideline here, does a little juke move. We have a flag down. He's still on his feet. Nice move that time, up to the 35-yard line. Not a penalty flag. We're getting quite a few of those right now.
35-yard line.
Is probably going to negate that return. That was a shifty little return by Rave.
Jeff Francis, but there's a penalty flag on the play. Illegal block in the back on the Cardinals.
So the Clearlake Cardinals, with a block in the back that time, will start off a little bit deeper in their own territory. We'll see where they mark this now. 1:08 to go in this first half.
Hello?
Sometimes you're wondering when a lot of penalties happen and timeouts and everything at the end of a half, will it ever end? Well, here we go. 16-0 the score. Ball at the 18-yard line of the Clearlake Cardinals as they have it 1st and 10. Two men split way out to the left for Clearlake as Henniger's been at quarterback the whole way. Backs are split behind him. Takes a snap, gives to Buendia, and Buendia is dropped after a short gain that time as Reed Monson makes a stop at about the 20-yard line. Picked up about 2, maybe 3 yards. Call it 2nd down and 7. Clock now running down under a minute to go and counting down here in this first half. Been all for Bragg so far, 16-0. Clearlake will receive the kickoff to begin the second half.
On the 23-yard line.
So even though it doesn't look like they're trying to conserve the clock or do anything fancy at this point, they'll get the ball to begin the second half, trailing 16-0. Henniger gives Buendia with the carry around the left side. Nice carry as he takes some tacklers with him across the 30 to the 34-yard line.
Vince Rav, the ball carrier.
Or that's Rav, the ball carrier.
Tackle
I'm sorry.
made by number
Rave, that is. And it's 23 seconds to go now in this half. First down, Clearlake.
By number 1, Josh LeBeau. And number 28, Zach Smith. Not until the Cardinals have a
And the
first
Cardinals
down.
do call a timeout. So here I was thinking they might just cruise on in, but they call a timeout. And our long last couple of minutes of this first half get longer. 1st and 10, Clearlake. We'll take a timeout. Again, Fort Bragg 16, Clearlake nothing. Trying to finish this first half. We'll see if we can do it here in just a moment. All right, here we go. 23 seconds to go in the half. After the timeout, the Cardinals come up to the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10, the ball at their own 34-yard line. Time for at least one more play, maybe a couple if they pass the ball. Instead, they try and keep it. And what a play! As Henniger lost the ball for a second, managed to bounce it right back up to, almost looked like he dribbled it and then flipped it out to the trailing back that time, Ponzalan, and what looked like a sure
That'll give the Cardinals a
mess.
2nd and 5.
They picked up about 7 yards, or 6 yards anyway. Not again. You got to be kidding me. The Cardinals have called another timeout.
Cardinals.
With 0.3 seconds to go in the half, trailing 16-0. We'll just keep it right here. You're listening to this rebroadcast on the Skunk FM. Saturday morning here. Thanks for joining me. I'm Lindy Peters. The Timberwolves leading 16-0 here. And the Cardinals have used their last timeout. Their coach Glenn Myers out there trying to come up with something here. This is your proverbial prevent defense. The Timberwolves safeties are well back. Palmer is back at about his own 32-yard line. He's the deep safety, about 25 yards off the line of scrimmage. Now he's moving up a little bit, but most of the Timberwolves are expecting some sort of a deep pass here. But this is the last play. And here we go. Henniger's back, and he throws it deep. And the ball is Intercepted. Metland comes away with it.
Number 20,
And again, it almost
Jared
looked like a
Metland
rugby
intercepts
play
the
for a
Cardinals
moment there
pass.
for the second time
That's
tonight.
the first
So
half.
that's the end of the first
Score,
half.
Timberwolves
The score, the
16,
Fort Bragg Timberwolves
and the
16, the
Cardinals
Clear Lake Cardinals nothing. I'm
for the
Lindy
halftime
Peters for the
at
Skunk
Timberwolves
FM and for
stadium.
MendocinoTV.com. Stick around. We'll have the second half coming up here, but we'll take a halftime break and hear from some of our fine sponsors that make it possible. I'm Lindy Peters. The score, once again, it's Fort Bragg 16, Clear Lake nothing.
Chris Bryans, are you in the house? Oh, you're the guy that parked illegally. I think your vehicle's just been towed. We're going to draw another number out of the hat. Somebody. Hey, I just got hot news off of the wire. Chris Bryans is going to donate it back to the freshman class. The $76.50 goes back to the freshman class. Thanks to Chris Bryans. Thanks.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of Timberwolves football. I'm Lindy Peters for your sports leader in Mendocino County, the Skunk. Stick around for more action coming up.
Hey, great news from Fort Bragg Transmission. Their service has expanded, and now they do most general vehicle repairs. They're ready for radiators to differentials, and from wheel bearing maintenance to tune-ups. Call Fort Bragg Transmission on Franklin Street for dependable automotive repairs.
Fort Bragg Transmission, 964-7960.
At North Coast Tire, Rick and Wendy are committed to quality and excellence. From tires and tune-ups to brakes and alignments, go see Rick and Wendy at North Coast Tire at 440 South Main Street or call 964-3184. That's 964-3184.
Save this week at Purity Supermarket. Alden's Vanilla Bean Ice Cream just $4.99 for 48 ounces. Boulder Canyon Olive Oil Kettle Chips, 2 5-ounce bags for $4. Love Crunch Dark Chocolate and Red Berries Organic by Nature's Path, $3.99 for 11.5 ounces. See Purity for more great buys on North Franklin across from the post office.
At AmeriGas Propane, our commitment is to be the safest, most reliable, and most responsive propane company in town. New customer specials are always offered, and we have several payment options to assist in billing your bill. Come see us today at 300 South Main Street, Fort Bragg.
At some point in your life, you're going to need a good attorney. Ryan Perkins, attorney at law, is the only practicing attorney in Fort Bragg that was once a Fort Bragg Timberwolf. He knows the community, he knows the history, and best of all, he knows the law. Whether you're struggling to put together a will, feel you've been wronged by another business or individual, been charged with a crime, or simply have questions on whether or not you have a good legal case, call Ryan Perkins in Fort Bragg, 964-4900. Ryan Perkins, attorney at law, on your team. You're listening to a rebroadcast of Timberwolves football here on The Skunk. I'm your host, Lindy Peters. Now let's head back to the press box and more action on your sports leader for Mendocino County, The Skunk. The Fort Bragg Timberwolves leading the Clearlake Cardinals here at halftime, 16-0. You're listening to a rebroadcast of this ball game on The Skunk FM and watching video on MendocinoTV.com. We want to thank some of our sponsors that make this possible, including Mendo Lake Credit Union, Harvest Market, Dr. Robert Bruce Dentistry, Subway Sandwiches, Cowlick's Homemade Ice Cream, Ranelagh Heating and Sheet Metal, Silver's at the Wharf, Mel and Susan McKinney, and Sean and Hackley Physical Therapy. Thanks so much. Actually, that's Sean at Hackley Physical Therapy. Thanks in part to those folks that make this broadcast and this video possible. Each and every Saturday morning at 10 following Timberwolves football, whether it's home or on the road, we'll rebroadcast the game on the Skunk FM. Today, this particular Saturday, it's a doubleheader of sports. We'll have Giants baseball, exciting game last night. Giants baseball coming up here this evening, 5:35 for Kukukite, first pitch at 6:05. Again, that's on the radio only. So, as I mentioned just before we left you here at halftime, the Clearlake Cardinals do get the ball to begin this second half. They do trail 16-0, but a couple of TDs and 2-point conversions, and they're right back in this ball game. Fort Bragg probably has different ideas about that,
Hey,
particularly
Mike
on
Castillo,
defense.
get everybody stand
Eric
up.
Harrian's
Kickoff.
going to kick it off. Back to receive for the Cardinals. Wayne Dia. As Harrian kicks a low ground ball off an up man here at the 30 to the 32, and ho, ho, ho! He is dropped as Don DeVille says hello. Smith also on the stop at about the 34-yard line. So the Cardinals are good at 1st and 10 to begin the second half, trailing in this one 16-0. I'm Libby Peters on the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. Thanks for enjoying this high school football game with us here. "12-minute quarters in high school football as the Cardinals come up to the line of scrimmage now. They send Manzel way out left. Manley split out right here. Buendia and Ponzels, the running backs, and the first guy that time, Buendia, is dropped after a short
Number
gain.
14, Andre Bedina, the ball carrier.
He's tried to say Luke Ponzalen's name there and try and call the play at the same time. That didn't work out too well. He wants second down at about 8 now for the Cardinals. Luke Ponzalen spent most of the time in the backfield there. He's the big back. Andre Buendia is smaller back, and also Vince Rave. It's all been switching off back there. So the Cardinals have the backs in the I formation now. 2nd down and 7, the ball at the 36. There's a give, bounces off one man, gets to the right side. That's Rave, and he is dropped. As Francis and then Smith finished him off that time. After
tackle made by number 58.
Actually about a loss of a yard, I think. It's going to be 3rd down about 9. All at about the 35-yard line. Looked for a moment as Rave got to the outside like he might have some room to run that time, but it was closed off nicely.
No gain on the play.
So it's going to be 3rd down and 9.
For the Cardinals on the
10:44 to go, 3rd quarter. We're just underway here in the second half. Fort Bragg leading 16-0. 3rd and long for the Cardinals. Zohuri Manley splits way out left. And split out here to the right. This is Henniger's back to pass. Rolling to his left. Throwing. And the ball is caught by Manley for a 1st down, but penalty flags are down.
Number 12, Kenny Henninger's pass is complete to number 84.
Looks like Nathan Powers out here on the far side for the Cardinals is upset about something.
Penalty flag on about the 34-yard.
So that would have been a Cardinal 1st down. Nice gain that time as running to his left, Henniger put that ball right on the money. Zahura Manley made the catch for a apparent 1st down, but the penalty is going to bring it back. That holding occurred, I believe it's a holding call, well away from the play on the back side of that play out here on the near sideline. Well, let's see what the referee calls. Well, it's a personal foul against the Timberwolves and a personal foul against the Cardinals, and so they negate each other.
Penalty is a personal foul against the Timberwolves.
Under those circumstances, they just replay the down, so it'll be 3rd down and 9 as they offset. 10:24 to go here in this 3rd quarter. I think there might have been a little altercation down here away from the play, and the official saw it, and both players were penalized.
On the 35-yard line.
So the Cardinals will have to get it up to about the 48-yard line for a 1st down. They have it, I'm sorry, at about the 44-yard line it is for a 1st down. They have it at about the 35, so call it 4th down and 9. Well, if they have to replay the down, I think it's going to be 3rd and 9, but well, now I'm confused. That's not hard to do either. So the Cardinals, it is 4th down, are in punt formation. Smith back to receive along with Waugh, as did Kaiser. Punts it to the right and out of bounds. They've really been keeping it away from the return man, but Smith picks it up on the bounce and then is dropped across the way by the big guy, Ponzalen.
Number 28, Zach Smith, runs into number 35.
Luke Ponzalen made the hard stop that time at midfield, but Smith's a tough player, bounces right back up. He's ready for more. So the Timberwolves get it. Actually, Smith had gone out of bounds before that hit, but was close enough to the sideline that I think Ponzalen was not penalized for hitting him out of bounds or anything. So 1st and 10 for Fort Bragg, ball at their own 47-yard line. Leading 16-0, 10:17 to go, 3rd quarter action here Lindy Peters on the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. Ashby gives to the second man, Smith, and boy, Clearlake is all over. The ball squirts out right at the end of the play. Boy, it sure looked like that play was dead, but they're going to call a fumble, and they're going to call it Clearlake ball.
On the play, the ball's recovered by number 32, Vince Rabb.
Again, there's no replay or help from the booth in this high school level of football.
Cardinals will take over 1st and 10.
I guess the whistle hadn't blown yet, and so the ball was still live, but it looked for all the world as though Smith was down, and the ball came out right at the end of that play, but it was live, and it is a fumble, and the Cardinals have the turnover, 1st and 10. So trailing 16-0. See if that gives them some momentum here. They have it on the Timberwolves 44-yard line. Manley splits out to the right, or splits out left, that is. Manzel splits out here to the right. Henniger with his backs in the I formation. Fakes, play action pass, caught. Ponzalo with a head of steam, and he runs his way up the sideline for a first down for the Cardinals. Ponzalo that time. Boy, you get that guy in the open field, and he's tough to bring down. 5'9", 190 pound senior. So the Cardinals with a first down at the Timberwolves 31-yard line as Ponzalo picked up 10 yards that time. 9:54 to go. Third quarter, Fort Bragg leading 16-0. Listening to a rebroadcast here on the Skunk FM. Watching video here on MendocinoTV.com. 1st and 10. Henniger at quarterback. Gives to the first man, Ponzalo, and he is dropped that time. Nice tackle as Eric Harrion came through to make the stop. Ponzalo maybe got a yard or two. Call it a yard gain that time, 2nd and 9.
A gain of a yard on the play, it'll be 2nd and 9.
Fort Bragg scored early in this game. A couple of quick touchdowns in the first quarter and a field goal in the second quarter, but the Cardinals haven't notched that scoreboard yet. They're seeing if they can do something about that right now. 2nd and 9 in Timberwolf territory at about the 30-yard line. Henniger gives, that's Rave, the ball carrier, and he breaks one tackle and is dropped after about a close to a 8-yard gain. It's going to be up near the first down. I think he's going to be short by about a yard. Ball close to the Timberwolf 21-yard line. Marking it across the far hash mark now. And it is going to be short of the first down, so it'll be 3rd down and about 1. Ball actually at about the Timberwolf 22-yard line. 8:37 to go, third quarter. Fort Bragg leading in this one 16-0.
At the 27-yard line.
There's a play. Give to Ponzalo, and he is dropped short of the first down. But Ponzalo in that time, nice stop by the Timberwolves defense, and a flag comes in late. And that could be against Fort Bragg. They were high-fiving and being happy, and unsportsmanlike conduct against the Timberwolves. So this is the second big penalty on this drive.
Penalties against the Timberwolves.
And instead of 3rd and short, it's now going to be an automatic first down. And after they mark off this penalty, it is going to be down inside the 10. They're going to go all the way down to about the 9-yard line. So it's 1st and goal for the Cardinals after that penalty. 16-0 the score. Fort Bragg leading, but Cardinals are knocking at the door, and Fort Bragg's been showing them the way with a couple of penalties. So it'll be 1st and goal now for the Cardinals as they huddle up behind Kenny Henniger, their quarterback. He's been in there for every snap. He sends David Manzel out left, Zahuri Manley out here to the right, way out right. Backs behind him. Buendia is back there, split along with Rave. And the gives is the first guy through, and that's Rave, and he's going to pick up maybe a yard. It's going to be 2nd and goal.
Number 32, Vince Rabb, the ball carrier.
Actually, I guess he picked up more like about 3. I think now that I'm looking across the way,
gain of 3 on the play.
The Cardinals can actually get a first down. It's not goal. The first down marker's at about the 6-inch line, looking all the way across the way. Hard to see from here, from our angle, but looks like the Cardinals could actually get a first down without getting in the end zone. Anyway, it'll be 2nd down. There's a snap. Henniger's going to throw. Pass incomplete. David Mansell, the intended receiver, just a quick slant that time, and the ball looked like it was there, but through his hands and out of bounds, and another penalty flag is down on the field. And this time, looks like they're talking to the Timberwolves. And it's going to be I think blocking below the waist is the call on that pass play, and that's a personal, well, that'll be a 15-yard penalty.
Illegal block on the Cardinals.
So that's we'll give you 15 yards here, and then why don't you just take it back? So the two 15-yard personal foul penalties have now offset each other in the bigger scheme of things, and the Cardinals have it way back out at the 23-yard line. They still can get a first down, like I said, inside the 1-yard line. So it's second down and about 22 yards to go here. 16-0, Fort Bragg leads. 7:35 to go here in this third quarter.
23-yard line.
Manley splits out to the right. Mansell splitting out left for the Cardinals. Back to passes Henniger's throwing the lob for Mansell. He's there, incomplete through his hands, and a penalty flag comes flying in. And they might be the only reason.
Incomplete.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I guess there wasn't a flag. I thought there was a flag.
Number 10.
Tell you what, you get to that far corner of the end zone from our vantage point here, and pretty difficult to see. But no, there was not a penalty flag. It's going to be third down now at the 23. Third and 22 still. 16-0 the score. Fort Bragg leading. 7:30 to go here in this third quarter.
That'll bring up third and 20 for the Cardinals on the 23.
For as many running plays as there's been in this game, it's sure a fairly slow game. Henniger back to pass. Setting up a little swing pass to Buendia. He's got it, and he meets the entire Timberwolves defense. Hello. Dondeville is going to get a 15-yard penalty. He made the tackle and got in the kid's face. You just don't do that, especially after it's been called all night. So sure, you make a hit. The last thing you want to do, especially at the high school level, is to get in the kid's face, and then you can see it if you're watching on MendocinoTV.com. Dondeville, after a good stick, you know, you really didn't need to do that. So here we go, 15 yards back the other way. Instead of third and 20-something, it's going to be third down. Well, I believe that might even be an automatic first down. Let's see where they're going to mark this thing. No, it's not an automatic first down. They're going to mark it they mark it from a spot of infraction, and the infraction, since it was a loss on the play, back to the 35-yard line, the infraction 15 yards from there brings it to the 15-yard line. Anyway, when all said and done, it's going to be third down and about 14. Ball at the 15-yard line, 7:20 to go, third quarter. And a flurry of unsportsmanlike penalty calls have sort of tainted this drive for both sides of the football. Now, I don't know what we got. Timeout? All right, well, we'll take a timeout. Looks like there's a timeout on the field. Let's get a little out of hand here on the field.
Timeout.
So let's take a timeout. We'll be back here. Fort Bragg leading 16-0, third quarter, 7:17 to go. I'm Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. All right, after the timeout, Cardinals come up to the line of scrimmage, third down and long. The ball at the Timberwolves' 15-yard line. When Diaz in the backfield along with Punzalan, split behind Henniger, the quarterback, for the Cardinals. Play action, back to pass, rolling left, throws, and his pass is intercepted by the Timberwolves. Palmer steps up and picks it off in the end zone. I think it's a touchback. Kind of a slow reaction from the crowd here. I think they didn't realize what happened there. Palmer stepped up and made the interception, and the Cardinals come up empty again as Fort Bragg takes over on the turnover, first down at their own 20-yard line.
Intercepts the Cardinals pass in the end zone. Timberwolves will take over.
Henniger that time
at the 20-yard line.
Eyed his receiver the whole time, and that allowed Palmer to step in there and make the interception. If you're going to try that pass, you need to look off your hot receiver. All right, Timberwolves have it first and 10. Ashby gives it to the first guy coming through. That's Clark, and he picks up about 5.
32, Jacob Clark, the ball carrier.
It'll be 2nd down and 5, the ball at the 25-yard line. Fort Bragg leading 16-0 now. They'd be wise if they could to put together a nice, determined drive, keeping the ball on the ground and taking some time off the clock. Third quarter action here. We're rebroadcasting this game on the Skunk FM. I'm Lindy Peters. Thanks for joining us on a Saturday morning, and you're enjoying video here on MendocinoTV.com. So 2nd down and 5. There's the give to Smith. He's outside to the left, gets to the sideline, gets a block from Wall, and there he goes. 40 to the 35, to the 30, to the 25, to the 20, to the 10. He falls down. He fell down at the 4-yard line. He tripped.
Oh my God.
It looked as though Smith was going to go into the end zone for a touchdown, and I think his excitement trying to put on the afterburners in the last 5 yards, he fell down. And in high school football, if you hit your knee to the ground, you're down, whether anybody touches you or not. So that could have been a electrifying touchdown run. Smith already has a 64-yard touchdown run. That one was again about 65-yard run from the line of scrimmage, setting up 1st and goal for the Timberwolves at the Clearlake 4-yard line. Ashby gives to Clark. Clark is stopped just inside the 5 down about the 4-yard line. Picked up maybe a yard. 2nd and goal, 5:50 to go. Well, here I just said they need to make a nice, long, slow, determined drive, take some time off the clock, and Smith just about takes it to the end zone, but because he fell short of the end zone, there's some more time going off the clock on this drive, if in fact it will culminate in a touchdown. All right, here we go. I formation, Smith, the deep back. Ashby, 2nd down and goal. Ashby gives to Smith, he fumbles. And another bad handoff that time. I think the Timberwolves have it. It's recovered by Smith. For some reason tonight, the Timberwolves are having a little trouble on the exchange, the handoffs. Ashby to both Clark, that is, and Smith. So it's not any one particular combination of running back, quarterback. It seems to be sort of an ongoing problem. I'm not sure why. Ashby's been very good at quarterback on his handoff exchanges over the first 3 games. 16-0, Fort Bragg, 4:43 to go here in this 3rd quarter. The Timberwolves trying to tack on. It's 3rd and goal at the 4-yard line. Backs in the I formation. Smith is in there. There's the give to Richard. No, Ashby keeps it on the fake, trying to run it in himself. Breaks a tackle, breaks another tackle, dives, and is short. Setting up 4th and goal at the 1-yard line. Nice, tough run by Ashby that time. Faked me out. I thought he had given it to Clark, the first back, but he kept it. And ran that veer option play that time. And diving forward, got it to the 1, so it'll be 4th and goal at the 1. Now do they bring in that package where Dondeville comes back in? Maybe not. He standing on the sideline over there. Okay, 4th and goal from the 1. The Timberwolves going to try and punch it in. Clark, the up back, Smith behind him. Ashby keeps it, and a penalty flag is down. A touchdown for the Timberwolves, but they might call it back. Procedure call against Fort Bragg.
Penalties against the Timberwolves for a false start.
Well, it is only the 4th game of the season for Fort Bragg, but sure seen a lot of penalties, and sometimes in crucial situations here. You liked a pretty clean game early on in the early part of this game. Not a lot of penalties, but right before half they started flying and they haven't stopped. So now it's going to be a field goal. Carlos Padilla steps out to see if he can kick it through. He already has 1 field goal. This one is going to be from about the same distance. It'll be about a 23-yarder. There's a snap. The spot's down. The kick is blocked. So the Cardinals with the ball inside the 5-yard line, 1st and goal for Fort Bragg. Smith looked like he had a touchdown, and the Cardinals have held. The Timberwolves cannot score.
The Timberwolves 16 and the Cardinals 0.
3:30 to go here in the 3rd quarter. After the blocked field goal, the Cardinals will take over. officials are trying to figure out where to spot the ball. The blocked field goal never quite made it into the end zone. So I believe the Cardinals will have to start where the ball rolled dead, which was at about the 1 yard line. And that in fact is it. There you have it. So the Cardinals, because basically a field goal is a 4th down play. And when you block it, they could have run it in the other way had they got it in the air and run with it. But once the ball hits the ground in high school and comes dead, that's the spot of the ball. So Cardinals have it 1st and 10 at their own 1 yard line, trailing 16-0. 3:30 to go in the 3rd quarter as the Timberwolves defense comes over to the sideline, and now the officials are explaining something to head coach Roy Perkins down here. And see what's going on here. We got a little stop in the action here, folks, because the officials, I'm not sure they know what's going on. But Coach Perkins is trying to get their attention and tell them something, and now a whistle blows. And I think Perkins might be saying, you know what, I think maybe the ball should be spotted out at the 20, although he's probably pretty happy to see it there at the 1. He's bringing the head official over to talk to him about something here. So if you're watching on video, this is all clear to you. You can see what's going on, but here on the radio, it doesn't give me much to go on here because the refs aren't mic'd. I'm not sure what this discussion is about, but we'll keep it right here. Fort Bragg leading in this one 16-0. 3:30 to go here in this 3rd quarter. This game started late. Normally the Timberwolves kickoff is at 7:30. It didn't even start till 7:45 here tonight. And they put a half an hour up on the clock between the JV and the varsity game. And now there's been so many penalties, and here's a stop in the action. We haven't had any injury timeouts or anything, but it seems like taking a little time to play this game tonight. And that's hard to get into a rhythm for either team because there's just so much stoppage of action with penalties and the like. All right, well, whatever it is, nothing changed. It's 1st and 10 Clearlake, the ball at the 1 yard line for the Cardinals. Timberwolves here with an opportunity to, if they can stop them for a loss, get a safety. But won't happen. Coming out of the backfield that time for the Cardinals, picking up a few.
Number 35, Gonzalez, the ball carrier.
Gets it out to about the 5 yard line, so he picked up about 4 yards that time. It'll be 2nd down and 5. 3:12 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Fort Bragg leading in this one 16-0. Fort Bragg blocked a punt in the first half, got it at the 1 yard line and scored a touchdown. The Cardinals here have blocked a field goal in the second half, but they got it at their own 1 yard line. 2nd down and about 6. And there's another penalty flag. It's going to stop action here, probably a procedure call. That will bring it half the distance to the goal back the other way. Well, actually, they're going against Fort Bragg. So maybe somebody jumped off sides. It's a 5 yard penalty. Still going to be short of the 1st down. It'll be 2nd down and about 2. Fort Bragg must have been off sides that time. I didn't catch the call. 2:37 to go here, 3rd quarter. Fort Bragg leading 16-0. Cardinals have it 2nd down and short. The ball at about their own 9 yard line. Keeping it is Henniger on the veer option, and he's going to get 1st down yardage up across the 10 to about the 14 yard line, so it'll be 1st and 10 Clearlake. Clock will stop for a moment here as the chain gang moves across for the 1st down. And now the clock is running again. Lindy Peters here on the Skunk FM, rebroadcasting this game Saturday morning. And if you're watching on video, MendocinoTV.com. All right, the defense for the Timberwolves comes up now. The Cardinals with a 1st down. Henniger looks like he might even be changing the play at the line of scrimmage. We'll see. He says something to the tailback that time, Buendia. There's the option veer, rolling to his left, and hit and dropped is Henniger for the loss that time. Looked like he was thinking about pitching it to the trailing back, but he kept it and was dropped for a loss. As the Timberwolves spread that one out nicely defensively. It'll be second down and 11. 1:26 to go, third quarter. Fort Bragg leading 16-0. Looked like they almost had another touchdown a moment ago there, but Zach Smith alone, just the last 5 yards to get to the end zone, somehow tripped. I'm sure his teammates, if they win this game, will let him have a little ribbing on that one. All right, here's the Cardinals now, and that one is stopped immediately as Clark stops the first back through, setting up third and long now for Clearlake, deep in their own territory, trailing in this one 16-0. Smith, on just 2 runs, has well over 100 yards rushing tonight. And he has been to the end zone once. The way he's running the ball, he might get in there again. And clearly on special teams, they're kicking away from him when he's a return man. This should be the final play of the third quarter now. It's third down and about 10, the ball at the 14-yard line. This is Manley split out here right. And split out there left is Manzel. Back to pass. No, he gives it to the first man through, and he's not going to get much that time. Good play action fake that time. Henniger, as he gives it to the big guy, Punzalan, but he's going to be well short of the first down. It's going to be fourth down and about 6 at their own 18-yard line, setting up a punt situation, and that'll end the third quarter. The score, it's Fort Bragg 16, Clearlake nothing. I'm Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. Stick around, we'll take a short break. The exciting conclusion in the final quarter and the last 12 minutes of this football game coming up in just a moment.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of Timberwolves football. I'm Lindy Peters for your sports leader in Mendocino County, the Skunk. Stick around for more action coming up.
Hey, great news from Fort Bragg Transmission. Their service has expanded, and now they do most general vehicle repairs. They're ready for radiators to differentials, and from wheel bearing maintenance to tune-ups. Call Fort Bragg Transmission on Franklin Street for dependable automotive repairs.
Fort Bragg Transmission, 964-7960.
At North Coast Tire, Rick and Wendy are committed to quality and excellence. From tires and tune-ups to brakes and alignments, go see Rick and Wendy at North Coast Tire at 440 South Main Street or call 964-3184. That's 964-3184.
Save this week at Purity Supermarket. Alden's Vanilla Bean Ice Cream just $4.99 for 48 ounces. Boulder Canyon Olive Oil Kettle Chips, 2 5-ounce bags for $4. Love Crunch Dark Chocolate and Red Berries Organic by Nature's Path, $3.99 for 11.5 ounces. See Purity for more great buys on North Franklin across from the post office.
At Amerigas Propane, our commitment is to be the safest, most reliable, and most responsive propane company in town. New customer specials are always offered, and we have several payment options to assist in billing your bill. Come see us today at 300 South Main Street, Fort Bragg.
At some point in your life, you're going to need a good attorney. Ryan Perkins, attorney at law, is the only practicing attorney in Fort Bragg that was once a Fort Bragg Timberwolf. He knows the community, he knows the history, and best of all, he knows the law. Whether you're struggling to put together a will, feel you've been wronged by another business or individual, been charged with a crime, or simply have questions on whether or not you have a good legal case, call Ryan Perkins in Fort Bragg, 964-4900. Ryan Perkins, attorney at law, on your team. You're listening to a rebroadcast of Timberwolves football here on The Skunk. I'm your host, Lindy Peters. Now let's head back to the press box and more action on your sports leader for Mendocino County, The Skunk.
All right, here we go. 12 minutes of football left. I'm Lindy Peters for the SkunkFM.com and MendocinoTV.com. Fort Bragg leading Clearlake 16-0. And here we go into the fourth quarter. The Cardinals will punt. Smith is back here on the near side, Wall on the far side, and here's the punt again, just towards the out-of-bounds marker, and it goes out of bounds, and the Timberwolves have it first and 10 at the Cardinal 41-yard line, leading 16-0 with 11:54 left in this game. This is the first league game for the Timberwolves and the Clearlake Cardinals. Willits and Kelseyville, two of the tougher teams probably in the league this year. And next week, Fort Bragg travels to Lower Lake to take on the Trojans. The Trojans haven't been off to a very good start this year, so we'll see what happens. But that's a week away. Here we go. Fort Bragg has it 1st and 10. Ashby fakes a pitch, turns around to keep it, and is dropped for a loss that time. Loss of about 2 yards. It's going to be 2nd down and 12. That was just a fake handoff and a spin, and then intended to run right up the middle. Ashby that time instead was dropped for a loss. Well, I don't know what this chain gang is doing. They're wandering the wrong direction here. Oh, what was that? A fumble, I guess. Boy, I am just...
Cardinals take over 1st and 10 at the...
It's a fumble recovery, and Clearlake has it, and somehow I missed that. So anyway, 1st and 10, Clearlake. They get the ball, trailing at their own 45. Back to pass is Henniger. His pass is incomplete and intercepted. As the Timberwolves come up with an interception that time. Reed Monson. As Ponzelon had to go through his hands, and Monson intercepted it, and so a fumble recovery by Clearlake and an interception from Fort Bragg, as 2 turnovers back-to-back give the Timberwolves the ball about where it was when they fumbled it away on the mystery fumble that I somehow missed on the last play. That turnover was a little bit more easy to see. 10:59 to go here in the game. Only a minute has gone by in this 4th quarter, and we've had 2 turnovers. Fort Bragg has it 1st and 10 now. As Ashby says something to Clark, his up back. Smith, the tailback behind him in the I formation. Ashby gives it to Richard. Richard trying to bull his way for a yard or 2, and that's about all he's going to get. It's going to be 2nd down. The ball at the 40-yard line of Clearlake.
Number 32, Jacob Clark, the ball carrier.
And it's a fumble, and Clearlake has it. So I guess the Cardinals are stripping that ball away from the Timberwolves, and they've come up with 2 straight fumble recoveries on 2 straight plays, and the fumble recoveries are sort of delay calls by the officials. Now they're talking about it a little bit out there. Maybe, well, it's going to be Clearlake's ball. There's no question about it. I guess they're just switching balls. Each team has their own football that they use on offense. So the Cardinals get it back. 3 turnovers in less than a minute and 10 seconds here in this 4th quarter.
1st and 10 at the 40-yard line.
All right, Henniger has it. Backs in the eye, or back split behind him. He gives to the first man on the right. That's Ponzalo, and he's got some good yardage. Gets about 6 yards.
Luke Ponzalo, the ball carrier, tackled by most of the Timberwolves.
Fort Bragg leading 16-0. So the clock now is what you want to keep an eye on here in this 4th quarter. Second down and about 3 now for the Cardinals. The ball at their own 48-yard line. Cardinals come up to the line of scrimmage, running that Vera option offense. Back to pass this time, though, is Henniger. He throws. Pass is incomplete. Intended for Manley that time. Seemed to be on target. Waugh with the coverage, but he was there to make an immediate hit that time. Had good coverage, really, but incomplete. It's going to be 3rd down and about 3. Clock stops. 10:02 to go in the game.
3rd and 3 for the Cardinals on the 47-yard line.
16-0. Fort Bragg with the lead. 4th quarter. Lindy Peters here on the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. Mansell splits out here to the left. Manley splits out right. Backs split behind Henniger now as Clearlake comes up 3rd and about 3. Cardinals, that's got to be a motion call, as it looked like Rave, the back, started to move before the ball was snapped. Indeed, that's a call. So it's now going to be 3rd down and about 8 instead of 3rd and short. 9:59 to go in the game. Of course, each time there's a penalty, that'll stop the clock. Be interesting to see the penalty yardage tonight for each team. Been a few of them. 9:50 9:49, 9:48 to go in the game. 16-0. Fort Bragg leading here, trying to seal off a victory. Third down and about 7 now. Clearlake has it at their own 42-yard line. They need to get just across midfield to get a first down. Henniger gives to the second man, and that's Rave, and he busts the tackle. He's out in the open field. He's got a first down across midfield down to the Fort Bragg 44-yard line. First and 10, Clearlake. Actually, they mark it up at the 42-yard line.
At about the 43-yard line. That'll give the Cardinals a first and 10.
First and 10, Clearlake now. 16-0, Fort Bragg leading, but they don't want it to get too interesting here. If the Cardinals can score, remember, in a couple of two-point conversions here and a couple of touchdowns, we've got a tie game. Henniger back to pass, throwing deep. Got a man there breaking open, incomplete, overthrown. That was Zuhuri Manley up the right side that time. Coverage by Waugh. Incomplete. It's going to be second down and 10, and the clock stops. 9:04 to go. So between the penalties, the first downs, and the incomplete passes,
that'll bring up second and 10 for the Cardinals on
clock
the 43-yard line.
Stopping on each of those. We've only played 3 minutes here in this fourth quarter. Fort Bragg leading again 16-0. All right, here we go. Second down and 10 now for the Cardinals. The ball at the Timberwolves 43. Give is to Rave. Again, good yardage across the right guard, back, weaving his way up close to the 35-yard line. I think he got across the 35, actually, to about the 34, so it's going to be third down and short now. As the Cardinals, under 9 minutes to go in the game now, are putting together a decent drive here. Rave checks out, and the more elusive and smaller running back, Andre Buendia, checks in for the Cardinals, wearing number 14. Henniger now, third and short for the Cardinals. The ball at the Timberwolves 35-yard line. Give to the first guy, and he is dropped. And Fort Bragg thinks they have it on the fumble recovery, and LeBou is holding the ball up, and he's got it. The Timberwolves get it back as Luke Punzalan couldn't hold on to the football that time. I saw Ty Vaughn of the Timberwolves point the other direction right after that play, but I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of fumbling in this fourth quarter for both teams. Timberwolves have already fumbled it away twice. 8:18 to go in the game now. They lead 16-0. They get the ball back at their own 34-yard line. Now we'll see if maybe they can get some sort of a drive and take some time off the clock here. Ashby, keeper, right up the middle. Second down and 9, maybe gained a yard. Down to 8 minutes to go in the game now.
Number 2, Tyler Ashby, the ball carrier.
This is a rebroadcast of Timberwolves football from Timberwolves Stadium Friday night on Skunk FM, the Skunk FM. And if you're watching video, we're on MendocinoTV.com. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lindy Peters. We'll be covering Timberwolves football throughout the season here. This is their first league game, and it's looking pretty good right now with 7:46 to go in the game. They're leading 16-0. Second and 10. Ashby gives to Smith. Smith gets outside here to the right. Jukes a man. Tries to get outside. Does. He's to the 40. To the 35. To the 30. Manley tries to catch him. He can't. 10-5. Touchdown Timberwolves. No flags. And Zach Smith has done it again. 65 yards for a touchdown.
28, Zach Smith with a 65-yard.
That is his second 65-yard touchdown run, and this time he actually would have had 3 long touchdown runs. A while back he had one from about 70, but he fell inside the 5-yard line. But this time he stayed on his feet. That should pretty much give the Timberwolves the momentum they need to carry this right into the locker room here. With 7:27 to go in the game, now leading 22-0. Here's Padilla for the extra point. Spot, snap, kick is up, and no good. Wide left again. That's the second time Padilla has pulled it left. So with 7:27 to go in the game, Fort Bragg Timberwolves, Zach Smith's 65-yard touchdown run, his second of the night, lead the Clearlake Cardinals 22-0. And we'll keep it right here. We want to thank our radio studio engineer, John Rio, for putting together our radio package to be rebroadcast Saturday mornings. We want to thank Terry Vaughn from MendocinoTV.com for putting us up on the web. And this is turning out to be a pretty good game for the Timberwolves right now. Their defense has not allowed a touchdown against a fairly decent Clearlake offense here. Both teams have struggled a little bit in the turnover department, to be honest, but it is the first league game. Both teams are bound to get better here as the season progresses, but right now Fort Bragg, playing at home, has opened up a 22-0 lead here in the fourth quarter now. 7:27 to go. So back to receive for the Cardinals, David Manzel, and along with him back there is Andre Buendia, and there's an onside kick, or a short kick anyway, as recovered by Fort Bragg.
Timberwolves tried an onside kick.
So the Timberwolves with 7:25 to go, leading 22-0, get the onside kick, and have the ball 1st and 10 right at about midfield. Wall splits out here to the right. Man splits out left. Ashby's been a quarterback the whole way. There's a give to Smith. Over the right side, he fumbles the football, and it's picked up by Clearlake, I think. You know, for a dry field and pretty good playing conditions, a little bit of a chill in the air, they're sure we're having trouble holding on to the football. So, another fumble by the Timberwolves after the onside kick. The very first play, they fumble it back to the Cardinals. One thing, if the Timberwolves win this game, and it looks like they will, but you never know, there's still plenty of time left, but you can overlook the mistakes in this game, but even though they're ahead 22-0, Fort Bragg has certainly made a lot of mistakes in this game. 1st and 10, Clearlake now. Henniger gives to the first man through, and he is dropped up by the Fort Bragg defense, although he never did come down. Luke Punzalan once again with a tough carry. As this evening progresses, it's certainly getting a lot chillier. You can tell the kids on the bench with their arms folded now, and people in the stands definitely have got every layer they have brought with them here tonight on. It's getting a little chilly here. 6:51 to go in the game. Fort Bragg 22-0. A couple of long touchdown runs from Zach Smith here tonight have been
the 48-yard line.
The big difference in this one. Cardinals now 2nd and 10. Bring it up to the line of scrimmage. Put a man in motion right to left now. Back to passes Henniger. Passes it to the man in motion through his hands, out of bounds. Zahuri Manley that time, the intended receiver. 3rd and 10. The clock stops. 6:27 to go in the game.
That'll bring up 3rd and 10 for the Cardinals on the 48-yard line. I'd like to remind
So 3rd and 10, the ball at the Clearlake Cardinal 48-yard line. They trail on this one 22-0, and see if they can get a first down here and keep things rolling now as Mansell splits out left. Manley slotted inside him on the left. Tight end lines up on the right side for the Cardinals. 3rd and long. That's Manley in motion now. Back to passes. Henniger looking that way. Now he's going to run, and he is dropped as Clark got him from behind right at the line of scrimmage. It's going to be 4th down and 10. And the Cardinals trailing 22-0, 6:13 to go in the game. Probably are going to try and get a first down here. Or not. Well, it looks like they're sending their punter out. DeKaiser will be out there to punt. Timberwolves will send Juan Zach Smith deep to receive.
On your computer at MendocinoTV.com.
5:52 to go in the game. 22-0 Fort Bragg, back in punt formation. DeKaiser for the Cardinals punts it away to this near sideline, and it bounces and goes, well, stays in bounds right inside the 20 at about the 18-yard line. Fort Bragg has it 1st and 10 with 5:38 to go in the game.
17-yard line, the Timberwolves will take over 1st and 10.
The Timberwolves leading 22-0. Scored a couple of touchdowns early in the first quarter, and it looked like there, might be a rout. Although 22-0 is not really a close game, but the Fort Bragg Timberwolves haven't played as well as I think they could. So we'll leave it at that. They're winning, and that's what counts. Ashby gives to Smith, left side, and he is dropped this time near the line of scrimmage. I don't think he picked up anything on that one. It'll be 2nd down and 10 at the 18. The clock continues to run now. 5:24 to go in the game.
28, Zach Smith, the ball carrier. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Timberwolves.
Ball about the
17-yard line.
18-yard line. Fort Bragg will have it 2nd and 10 now. Wall splits out to the right. LeBeau in the backfield now. And Don, we have a different quarterback. Costello in there at quarterback. Clark, the ball carrier, and he's not going to get much, if anything. Setting up 3rd and long, but more importantly, the clock is ticking. Down under 5 minutes to go now, about 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the game. 22-0, Fort Bragg leading. 3rd down and 10, the ball at their own 18-yard line. Costello only at quarterback for a play. Ashby back in now for the Timberwolves in the huddle. Todd Wall splits out to the left, and Brandon Palmer splits out here right. Will the Timberwolves throw it here? Probably not, but let's see. 3rd down. Ashby gives, and LeBeau, the ball carrier, and we're going to have a tackle, either a face mask or a high tackle that time, as LeBeau's head shot back. As soon as it did, the referee grabbed the flag and put it on the ground. You're not allowed to tackle by the head at the high school level, whether you grab the face mask or not. There's a personal foul, and it is, in fact, a face mask.
Penalties, face mask.
And that's going to give the first Timberwolves a 1st down. That was 3rd and long, and that means they can keep possession, and that means the clock can continue to run, although it stops for the penalty. 4:12 to go in the game. 22-0, Fort Bragg leading. Trying to go 1-0 here in league play, and 3-1 overall. Coach Roy Perkins, who took over the team just before the season started, has seen his team get progressively better on defense each and every game. Their offense is clicking pretty well, too. They've just made a few mistakes and turnovers here tonight. I think that's been evident. Ashby gives it to Clark. Clark left side. Not much of anything. The Timberwolves aren't trying to disguise anything right now. They're basically trying to run out the clock. 3:43 to go in the game. 22-0 to score. It's going to be 2nd down and long. You do have 30 seconds between each play that you can run off the clock.
470 for tonight's
2nd down and 10 now. Thanks for joining us here on the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. Lindy Peters here with Timberwolves football, trying to run out the clock and win this one 22-0. Ball at the 37-yard line of Fort Bragg, and Clearlake jumps off sides. So the clock will continue to run. I'm sorry, the clock will stop under those conditions. And 5 yards the other way, it'll bring up 2nd down and 5, bringing it up to the 42-yard line.
43-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 5 for the Timberwolves.
We do this each and every Saturday morning following the Friday night game. We rebroadcast the game on the Skunk FM. And if you're watching on MendocinoTV.com, you can watch us anytime, anywhere, any game. 2nd and 5 for the Timberwolves at the 42-yard line. 2:59 to go in the game now. Ashby fakes it to Clark, keeps it, and is tackled for a loss as Punzal. That was Vince Rave, the linebacker for the Cardinals, who's been a force on offense and defense for Clearlake here tonight. Drops him for a loss. 2:35 to go in the game now.
Our sister stations from Floodwood, Minnesota, Houston, Texas, and our very own The Skunk at
3rd
92.7.
and 10 now for the Timberwolves.
92.7, The Skunk.
LeBeau splits out here to the right. Todd Wall splits out left. Down to 2:14 to go in the game. 3rd and long. There's the pitch to Smith. Well, getting around the left side, straight arms a man, and then is tackled after little or no gain.
Number 28,
And
Zach
under
Smith,
2
ball
minutes to
carrier.
go now in the game as the Fort Bragg
Number
Timberwolves
10,
faced with
man
4th and
up.
10 or in a punt situation. Actually, Smith lost about a yard, 4th down and 11. Lindy Peters here on the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com with 1:45 to go in the game. Fort Bragg leading 22-0 over the Clearlake Cardinals under what's become a rather crisp night here at Timberwolves Stadium. Harrion back in punt formation for the Timberwolves. Minute 25, a minute 24. There's a delay of game penalty against, or no, a timeout. I'm sorry. The Timberwolves let the clock go down and then called a timeout.
Well, I had this timeout, folks.
So we got a timeout on the field
Right here,
with 1:22 left to go in this one. Fort Bragg leading 22-0, and our next game will be a week from now on the Skunk FM at 10 a.m. Saturday morning. 1 week from today, it'll be a rebroadcast of the Timberwolves and the Lower Lake Trojans. Lower Lake Trojans are one of the longer road trips, so if you don't want to make the trip and want to enjoy all the action, all you need to do is have a radio handy, and you can hear it a week from today, Timberwolves and the Lower Lake Trojans, or you can watch the game on any device that streams video, MendocinoTV.com. As I like to say, anytime, anywhere. So 4th and long, the Timberwolves will punt it away here as we go back to action now. Harrion waiting at about his own 22-yard line. There's the snap. He is going to get his punt away. Takes a bounce for Fort Bragg down inside the 30 and is down at the 27-yard line. And with 1:13 to go in the game, trailing 22-0, the Clearlake Cardinals will take over now and see if they can, at this point at least, try and put some points on the scoreboard. The JV game, by the way, was a close one. Clearlake won it on a field goal, 3-0. It's the final score of the Cardinals over the Fort Bragg Timberwolves. I've seen a few of the ex-Timberwolves here tonight. It's always nice to see them. One of them, Cole Borgero, stopped by to tell me that his son is number 60, Walker Ferreira, out here playing. Wanted me to mention that on the air, so there you have it. All right, here we go. The Cardinals give to Buendia, and Buendia gets a nice run around the right side, and here comes a penalty flag. Come on, guys, 1:05 to go. Can we finish this game? Looks like it'll be against the Timberwolves. Sometimes you wonder if officials get paid by the penalty. It's going to be a face mask call against the Timberwolves. Well, I guess that's one you pretty much do have to call. And that'll give the Cardinals a first down out at the 40-yard line with 1:05 to go, trailing 22-0. And we're at a point in the game where we're just trying to finish this thing off. The clock starts after the penalty is marched off, down under a minute finally to go. 1st and 10, Clearlake. The ball at their own 40-yard line. Fort Bragg 22, Cardinals nothing. Henniger at quarterback the whole way. Rolling to his left on the option and tries to cut back and is tackled. Francis is there, Harrion is there. Down to 40 seconds to go. The Cardinals trailing 22-0. Probably won't take a timeout, but I won't bet on it.
54, Jeff Francis on the tackle.
27 seconds to go.
Give the Cardinals a 2nd and 5.
Clock running down.
44 yards.
Should be the last play of the game. Cardinals huddling up. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10 seconds to go. 22-0 Fort Bragg. This should be the last play of the game as Henniger for the Cardinals gives. No, he keeps it. Right side, fakes, and is tackled. Punzal on the up back was the fake, was to him, and that's the end of the game. The gun sounds.
The Timberwolves 22 and the
The final Fort Bragg 22, the Clearlake Cardinals nothing. I'm Lindy Peters. Thanks for joining us on the skunkfm.com. And thanks for joining us on MendocinoTV.com.
Starts at 4 o'clock.
Our next broadcast will be a week from today when the Fort Bragg Timberwolves play the Lower Lake Trojans. Once again tonight here, the JVs for the Clearlake Cardinals were victorious. Clearlake won in the JV game 3-0, but here tonight into the varsity level, it's the Fort Bragg Timberwolves 22, the Clearlake Cardinals nothing. Fort Bragg now goes to 3 wins and 1 loss. The Cardinals now go to 2 wins and 2 losses. Fort Bragg 1-0 in league play in the NCL 1. Their next league game next week, Friday night, on the road against the Lower Lake Trojans. I'm Lindy Peters. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for enjoying Timberwolves football. Take care.